All right, how is everybody doing today? Let's see. Okay, I got this. Hopefully you should be seeing what I'm seeing. I think there's a little bit of a delay. So there might be a couple moments between the time you type and the time that it shows up on the screen. But I just kind of sorted out the settings. It looks like everyone should be able to see me up in the corner up here, and then you should be able to share my screen so that when I go to something like Yahoo Finance, I should still be here, but hopefully everyone can see what I'm seeing. Can I get confirmation in the chat window that just everything is good, that you can hear me, that you can see me, that there aren't any major tech glitches? I'm just going to wait a moment for that. While I'm doing that, really the agenda for today is I'm going to be doing my rebalancing live. So basically I've got the Excel spreadsheet open here. I'm going to be doing the trading on my laptop just because I don't want to show all of YouTube my account numbers, etc. And I don't know enough to be able to hide those things in real time. So basically y'all are going to get to see my Excel spreadsheet, and then I'm actually going to be doing the trading on my laptop here. Okay, everything looks good, audio is fine, screen is super blurry. Okay, I might have to make things better. Okay, can you see my Excel spreadsheet? This is really going to be the important thing. So this is what I've made in a nice big font. I can up the video quality. Last time people were a little concerned that it just, for a couple of people, it was choppy. And so what I did was just kind of lower the latency, take a little bit less bandwidth, but I can always up that. Really what I want to do is verify that people can see my Excel spreadsheet, as this is the screen that we're going to be looking at primarily. The only thing is that I do need to go back and forth between YouTube to see this. Spreadsheet is okay. It's a tad fuzzy, but good enough. Okay, I'll take it. I'll make it a tiny little bit bigger. There we go. So we can go from there. Okay, so I'm gonna jump right into this. First, let me say before we start trading, a couple things is that literally live right now, Justin Trudeau is making a bunch of announcements. It looks like there is gonna be support coming for at-risk workers. This does seem like a sort of ambitious aid package, which is great, but 3% of GDP. And then as well, I have seen from some of the big banks here in Canada that they're basically doing things on a case-by-case basis. But if you're severely impacted by this, that they will actually waive mortgage payments by up to 6 months, which is kind of awesome. That's what I've been calling for, that really we should just be able to take a deep breath. And anyone who's unable to earn income over the next little bit should get some relief. From there, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. The other thing just in the markets right now that we're probably going to see this as we do the trading, especially with bond ETFs, there is a very wide bid-ask spread right now. So again, we'll get into this, but if you remember when we look it up, there is this difference, this gap between the bid price and the ask price. We're seeing very wide bid-ask spreads right now. This is very common in volatility, but especially among bond ETFs. The reason for this is that bond ETFs aren't as liquid. The ETFs are liquid, but the underlying assets, the bonds that are inside of the ETFs, are not sort of quite as liquid. So it's not a big deal. This isn't a reason to not do anything. It's something we're going to keep our eye on. Of course, it means to do our trading, which I'll talk you through. And just know that, if the spreadsheet, if you're rebalancing, if you're not actually that far off, the numbers are fairly low, you might just want to do nothing and not actually rebalance your portfolio right now, just because with those bid-ask spreads, we're not going to be getting those very efficient prices. Whereas, my hope is that it'll probably be a week or 2 or 3, but that the volatility of the market is going to come down, which means that those bid-ask spreads should narrow, which will make it a little bit easier. So really, as we approach this, I want to be clear, it's absolutely fine to do nothing. If you're just I just want to turn off and I just don't want to do any of this, then that's fine. I have no issues. This rebalancing meeting, this is really more for people who are feeling a little bit of anxiety around this, who want to take control. That, my mantra right now is keep calm and rebalance. So the idea here is that we're going to go through this rebalancing tool. I just want to check the video. Okay, great. Everything is good. Awesome. Okay, people are joining. I'm so happy. Looks like there are 20 people on here, or 29. Ooh, another one. So this is really exciting to me. I love that I'm getting some good feedback that this is super useful. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go through the instructions. Again, forgive me, my rebalancing tool, this is like version 1.2 kind of thing. So chances are you all have a prettier version of this spreadsheet. Hopefully it's a little more branded, but this was like when I invested my own money. So this was kind of one of my first iterations. But I did copy the instructions from my latest spreadsheet. So hopefully these are like the most clear instructions. I am gonna go through them. Hopefully this is a resource that you'll be able to do whether you're doing it today or whether you want to do it a little bit later. My portfolio is a little more complex. When I invested my money, there weren't fossil fuel-free ETFs. So I kind of did the best that I could. I made some decisions there. You're going to hear me kind of criticize my own portfolio in real time. So this is a scenario where, you know, it'll be a little bit funny. But what I figured is that because I do have a more complex portfolio, if you can like figure it out from mine, then, you know, if you do have a more simplified portfolio, then fantastic. This is going to be way, way, way easier for you. Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do is go through the instructions one by one. So we're gonna start by filling out the rebalancing tools on Excel. So these are gonna be the sort of rebalancing instructions that we'll go through. This is sort of the tedious part. From there, what we're gonna do is I check the my CRA to determine my RSP TFSA limits. This is really if you're thinking about adding more money to the mix right now. Don't feel like you need to add more money right now. If you do, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad time to invest, that markets are really down. We wouldn't want to put a whole bunch of money in all at once. We might want to like split it up in chunks. In my case, I've got these little boxes over here to keep track of RSP and TFSA room. I have lots of room in my accounts, so I'm in no need, I don't need to worry about going over, but you know, that is something to take a look at. From there, use the information to determine how much money goes into each account. So between my RSP or my TFSA, you know, I might make a contribution. You know, Norbert's Gambit, if we're exchanging more than 10K. Now, in my case, there's no way I'm going to have 10K to move here. So I won't be doing Norbert's Gambit. And even if you are, you know, now I don't think is a good time to do Norbert's Gambit, just because of the week-long delay. So in this case, if you do have to go between Canadian dollars and US dollars, I'm more concerned that like we sell and then buy right away, rather than having, you know, being more concerned about that sort of 1.5% exchange fee, that crappy exchange rate that they charge us. Which is why, you know, for me, I would suggest don't worry about Norbert's Gambit at this moment of volatility. From there, we're going to be making the trades, and that'll be below. So what I can do here is go through these rebalancing instructions. Let me just check if there are any questions. Oops, that's going to be my screen here. Nope, no questions. Great. I'll just check that periodically to make sure that if there are questions, that I do address them. But I'm just going to keep moving ahead. So in terms of the amount of cash area, this is like how much cash I'm going to be putting to work. And you can see here, oh, actually before I do this, and maybe I should add to my instructions, is I want to save as. So you'll notice that I didn't update the date. So what I want to do is I'll just save this to my desktop, and I'm just going to name this Tim's Rebalancing Tool, and I'm going to call this March 18, 2020. I really love having my version control. I'm okay with that. Oh, it's because it's the compatibility mode still. But that basically, you know, having the version control there, I think is going to be super, super useful. From there, what we're going to do is start to go through these rebalancing instructions. So in the amount of cash, enter the amount of cash available for rebalancing my portfolio. I do not have 12K. I'm looking at my Questrade account right now. I use Questrade to manage. In my case, I'm looking at the all in Canadian column. Oh, the last thing I do want to add is that for those using Questrade, we do want to get into the trading platform. That remember that like the summary screen, sometimes it kind of updates overnight. With markets as crazy as they are, like today I think we're down like 5%. The markets are down 5% right now, which is a little bit absurd. You know, we are going to want these up to the moment numbers. So I would strongly urge you to go to the trading platform in order to get those up to the minute quotes. So from there, the amount of cash, I'm looking at my all in CAD column. I have 187.05 cents in my TFSA, and then I'm going to add that to the cash that I have in my RSP, which is 149.32. So you can see I'm just like adding them together on Excel. You can use a calculator for this if you want. But basically, oops, you know, I've got $336 that I want to put to work today. You know, this would just be the interest and dividend payments that have popped up in my account over, you know, since I last rebalanced. And that really in this case, you know, if you just wanted to do this hypothetically, you could just leave this at zero, that we're not investing any cash. This would just be like a straight rebalance. But in my case, I do have a little bit of cash, so I'm going to want to put that to work. So about $336. From there, let me go back to the instructions. So I'm doing it in order. Now it's telling me to update my market values. So this is where it gets a little bit tedious, especially for a more complicated portfolio. I have a whole bunch of these market values that I need to update. What I'm going to do is go to my positions tab. Most of my Canadian stuff is in the TFSA, so I'm going to do my TFSA first. And really what I'm looking for here is this market value column. Okay, so the market value column here on Questrade or on my trading platform, it's like MKT value, market value, and I'm just going to go through one by one. And it's up to you. This is a little bit of puzzle. You can do it in the order of the spreadsheet, or you can, I tend to like look at Questrade and then kind of like, you know, fill them in. One thing I've done before is just change everything to zero. And what this does is just make sure that I actually fill out everything properly. I just want to see here. Okay, great. Beautiful. From there, what I'm going to do is just do it via Questrade. So I'm going to do Brookfield, and my market value here is 1972. I'm going to ignore the pennies here. I'm also noticed that it might jump around a little bit. It's not a big deal if it's a couple dollars off. From there, the next one is going to be Boralex, BLX, which is right below it. So this one is going to be 1308. From there, I'm going to do CGR, which is my real estate, which is, I think is at the top here, which is 1004. You know, if I was just replacing the numbers, I would kind of see where my market value was compared to last time. Although last time I did add a bunch of cash into it, so you know it's not going to be totally accurate. From there, I've got CLG, which are my bonds, which are down here. So CLG, I'm sitting at 2113. Perfect. From there, I've got TD Bank. Now, I'm not too happy about this one. I've been thinking about selling this one for a little while, and I probably should have. You know, again, I don't like these individual companies. I'd much prefer the ETFs. XCD is 955. And then the last one I have in my TFSA, I do own my shares of T-Blue. So this one is going to be 1402. Originally, I had a different water ETF in there. I didn't love that water ETF, and there isn't this Tortoise Global Water ESG fund, which is water, but it also does ESG. So it's not perfectly optimal because it is a US dollar thing inside my TFSA, which, you know, I don't love. But, you know, again, I'm not a stickler for things needing to be exactly perfect. From there, I'm going to move down to my RSP. So what I'm going to do here is, again, I'll just do it through the my X is sitting at 458. EVX is sitting at 458. From there, I've got IHI, my medical devices. This is sitting at 1038. From there, IXP 764. Oops, and I've been entering them in the wrong column. Oh, I'm so bad. So this should be over here, 458. I didn't make a note of that, which is that US dollar securities should be entered into the US market value column. So I made a little error there. Forgive me, I just undid everything, and now what I'm going to do is put it in the US dollar column. We're going to need to update this Canadian exchange rate soon. It has gotten worse. The Canadian dollar has fallen. I'll talk about that when we update that. But what this spreadsheet does is it kind of normalizes everything in Canadian dollars. So that was 458. The next one I need to do is IHI was, here it is, 1034. There we go. IXP 763. I think it was the bottom one. No, this one. 763. Perfect. 3M, and again, you know, a lot of these individual companies, 3M has been a little disappointing for me over the last little bit. It has come down. So, you know, thinking about ETFs, although I'm not going to make any major changes right now, this is going to be 266. I've got Mergy Munich Re. This is my German reinsurance company. Here it is. And this one is sitting at 713. I've got PGH Phillips. Here it is. And this one is at 1056. This one has held up pretty well. Healthcare manufacturer. Shouldn't be too surprised there. PZD, which is clean tech. Here it is. So this one is 1222. And then it looks like the last ones are going to be GX. So this one has changed. This one, the ticker symbol changed. So I'm just going to update this because this is actually called the Vanek Vectors. Oops, I guess it still had that. But instead of Global Alternative Energy, it's now called the Low Carbon Energy ETF. And the ticker symbol is SMOG. Right? Look at that. So clever. From there, SMOG right now, my market value is 930. Presumably my last one is going to be Tech, XLK, which was really the best performer for me over the last little while. And this one's sitting at 1999. Perfect. Okay. So from there, I will point out that on my rebalancing tool, the way I did it is that I kept my impact bonds as separate. So I do own like a solar share bond and a CSI bond. I actually bought those first. For me, that was like a thing I wanted to do to, like, you know, kind of with my first savings. So I ended up not doing it and just not including it on my rebalancing tool. For most of you, it will be on here, but just remember those things aren't liquid. So they're tough for us to like buy and sell in the immediate term. So, you know, what we're going to want to do is fill out all these market values. If you do have impact bonds in there, great. Just know that we're not going to be doing any of those today. Obviously, you're not able to trade those in real time. Okay, fantastic. So really, from there, I filled out the market value for everything. And I'm going to look up the exchange rate, which I mentioned is the Canadian dollar is a lot weaker. So one thing that's kind of flying under the radar right now, I want the inverse. Look at this, 1.45282. This is a very, very weak Canadian dollar. So I'm just going to update this. I find if I just copy the whole thing and then paste it, I keep the formatting. So basically what's going on here is that the Canadian dollar is a petrodollar. That, you know, one of our biggest exports, one of our, you know, big drivers is oil. And I don't know if people are following right now, but oil is kind of down in the dumpster. Like, it's really, really bad. I'm seeing the price of oil about 20% right now. $20 per barrel right now. That's the target. I think we're below 25 today for the first time. So oil is very cheap. Alberta is going to be getting hit very hard in this. What this means is that the Canadian dollar is also very weak right now. So if we do have US dollar securities, you'll notice that this market value, right, we do account for this. So it's not a bad thing if you've got US dollars at the moment. Just know that if we were converting, if we were buying US dollars from Canadian dollars, things would be a little bit more expensive than they were a few weeks ago. Okay, sweet. So what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to look at the rebalancing tool itself, the investment column. Let me just check in on questions, if there are any questions. Okay, question. Okay, just had my funds moved into cash at Questrade. Should I start investments in this volatile time or wait until things settle down? Okay, Ayada, yes, definitely. I would say let's hold off. I don't know if we have a meeting on the books, but if we don't have a meeting on the books, if you can send me an email and CC Amisha, info@goodinvesting.com, let's get together and have a bigger conversation, because of course the question is, it depends. So the good news is that if it's in cash, you've missed the worst decline in a very long time. So if things are in cash right now, then it's a good place to be. Often what I'm suggesting for clients is if you do have a large sum, so in this case this is probably a large sum of money, what we do want to do today is do the dollar cost averaging. So what we'd want to do is maybe invest, let's say 20% or 33% of your money now, leave the rest in cash, or I can show you there are these high interest savings ETFs that are basically like sorry, the new question here, I'm getting distracted. But these high interest savings account ETFs, because they basically act like cash, but for cash that's inside our Questrade accounts or our online broker accounts. So don't worry about it right now. Let's talk, let's have a conversation about your specific situation. But just know that likely what we're gonna do is just put it in sort of chunks here and there. From there, Smog, love it. I'd love to have the job to make those symbols. Yes, absolutely. I like it when they get clever. Tesla below 400 thoughts. I have no idea. Neil, I have no idea. I wish I knew what was up. Don't really know. I can take a look at it. We can look at it. I'm hearing like these Tesla shorts are having a ball. I saw somebody tweeting like the Alameda County Police being apparently, it's essential businesses only, and people are complaining to the police that Tesla is still sending employees, getting them to make cars, whereas things should be in shutdown. And that basically the shorts, like the people that have a short position in Tesla that are betting on it to go down, are again trying to attack. So I would say, now's not a good time to buy. It's not a good time to sell. If you own it, hang on to it. Really what we can do is do the rebalancing. If you're supposed to have a certain percentage, if you're below that percentage, maybe buy a little bit now. If you're above that percentage, maybe sell a little bit. Okay, Chantal, yes, I did say at the beginning to wait 2-3 weeks to rebalancing. Again, it's up to you. I'm going to rebalance. I'm going to do it now and go through and do it, even though it's not absolutely certain, and it might not be optimal. As you can see, my numbers aren't going to be very big. So, in my case, I probably would typically wait 2 or 3 weeks to rebalance. That said, if you feel like you need to do something, then the thing to do is rebalance. And it's not a bad idea to rebalance right now, but it's also no problem to be able to wait if you want to. So this is one of these, toss a coin. It kind of, depending on your anxiety, if you feel you need to do something, then rebalance. If not, just wait a little bit. I don't think, it's gonna make or break your retirement, whether you rebalance today or whether you do it in a couple weeks. This is a good habit to get into, and if you feel you need to do something, this is what we want to be doing, which is why I'm doing the video today. Wes, yes, absolutely. The reason I'm using YouTube Live is that it does record it automatically and throw it up to YouTube, which is fantastic, which I love. So know that I did touch on Norbert's Gambit, which is that I don't want you doing Norbert's Gambit right now, that the lag, unless you're okay waiting for a week, but remember we save 1.5% by doing Norbert's Gambit. 1.5% in the markets right now is nothing. That's like an hour's movement. Markets are down 5% today. So, really in my mind, Norbert's Gambit is, not necessary at this moment in time. But obviously, if you're planning to maybe, do it in a little bit later, then you might want to do Norbert's Gambit just to get it in the proper currency so that the money is available later. Neil, awesome. Glad you appreciate my thoughts on Tesla, which is that I don't know. And Steve, Excel has some sweet nerdy functions like import live stock market data. Ooh, I would love, if you can send me a link or any information on how to do that, I would love to be able to have these things update automatically. So, if there is a way of doing that, that would be fantastic. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, I'm going to go back to my rebalancing tool now so that we can kind of talk through the implications before I start making any trades. So, it's the type of thing where, because I only have a small little bit of cash to work, you can see that now the investment column, or let's talk about the desired percentage versus the current percentage. So what you can see is that certain things are now going to be above weight, okay? So like, for example, this guy, Brookfield. Brookfield has done really, really well for me in my portfolio. Now I've got about 6.5% in Brookfield, and this is, again, more than I would normally put in an individual company. I do follow these things a little more closely, which is why, my individual company allocations might be a little higher, but I am thinking of moving towards ETFs. But Brookfield has just been like a rock star for me. And that you can see that right now it's at 8.5% of my portfolio when I really only wanted it 6.5%. So this is something that's gone up a lot, which is why in the investment column, it's telling me, hey, Tim, you have too much Brookfield, you should sell about $450 worth of Brookfield. Same thing here, what's this one? Boralex and TD Bank, aiming for 4% and 5%. You can see they're sitting at 5.7 and 6.2%, which again is why it's telling me to sell some of these guys. From there, I do have some things a bit underweight as well. So this guy is underweight. So shares of 3M have fallen dramatically. And I was aiming for 5%, and now it's only 1.7% of my portfolio. Holy crap, what's going on with 3M? Let me just look them up real quick. That surprises me because they do make a lot of medical devices. But if I look at what's happened, over the last 6 months, okay, so it really was earlier this year that we had a big dip. It wasn't so much during the crash, but it looks like the company has faced some challenges. If I look at the last year, okay, this is why. Look at this, and from a peak of at the start of 2018, it's lost almost half of its value. Wow, look at that. This is a great lesson that I need to learn myself. Tim, don't invest in individual companies. So, one of the things that I can do right now is look at my desired percentages. And, do I want to play around with these? And again, I don't think you need to at all. But, it's not a bad time to kind of have this thought right now. That, maybe with TD, I was thinking about doing a little bit less than this. 3M, I don't know if I want to buy more at these prices. Although, maybe I should because the share price is at such a low point right now. So if I did want to have, sort of rejig my portfolio, I've got a very low bond allocation. Again, I'm risk tolerant. So I'm 90% stocks, only 10% bonds. Most of you are going to be much higher in bonds because, you probably don't have the same high risk tolerance that I do. This is a scenario where, frankly, I wish I had more bonds. If I had more bonds, it would be a little bit more of a stable part of my portfolio. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to acknowledge that, some things I might not buy or sell. So what I'm going to do in that case is I am going to play around with my percentages. I wouldn't suggest you need to do this, but I am going to do this. 3M, I want to have a much lower percentage of my portfolio, so I'm going to knock this down. I'm going to knock that down to about 3%. From there, TD is something that I also haven't been super happy with owning, so I'm going to knock that down to about 3%. I just don't like owning the individual companies. From there, was there anything else in here that I wanted to change? I don't think so. I feel pretty good about those two changes. So, I've got 4% that I want to play with. Maybe this would be a good opportunity for me to take a bit more of what I would call a defensive posture. I'm not changing these things dramatically, but I'm just going to add them to my bonds. What this does is this is just going to, put me in a bit of a safer situation over the next couple months. That if I wanted to get more aggressive, I would lower my bonds, right? And then I would spread that. I would increase other things. Whereas because I want to get a bit more defensive right now, I'm lowering some of the other things, and I'm using this as an opportunity to buy my bonds. Again, you don't need to play with this rebalancing tool with these percentages. I would suggest in a dream world that that we kind of stick to the plan. But I do just want to show you in this case that the spreadsheet is very flexible. It's very malleable. That if you did want to make some little tweaks here and there, that, this is the mechanics by which we would do that. I'm just going to go back to the questions for now. Okay, so let's see if I have any more questions here. So org ETF ended, yes. Just got the letter, yes. This has been the most annoying thing. Oh my goodness. So ORG, which is an organic food ETF here. I can make this bigger so that hopefully people can see the chat a little bit better. So when it comes to ORG, this is an organic food ETF. It's been doing very poorly, and the company announced that they were closing the ETF, which sucks. What's even worse is that they provide 30 days notice, but I've heard from a couple clients that they didn't get the letter, that it was dated something like February 12th or something, and they didn't get it until a month later after the ETF had closed, which drives me bananas. So this is a case where what they're going to be doing is liquidating your position. I don't know if it's gone through, Wes. I'm kind of curious to know whether that cash has showed up in your account or not. If it hasn't shown up yet, it should show up soon. At that point, once the cash is available, then what you want to do is basically you can delete org from your rebalancing tool, whatever percentage you had. You could split up among a few other things as well. Something that you might consider in terms of food, if you are looking for an ETF that does have, some exposure to food, there is this iShares MSCI Global Impact ETF, which is based on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And this does have a fair bit of exposure to food. It's got exposure to other things as well, so it is very broad. But, in terms of like food sector, I don't think there's another organic food ETF. So really it would be about finding, another ETF with at least some exposure to food, like SDG. Or likely what I would suggest is that you just spread the percentages among your other stock ETFs. Or if you wanted to take a more defensive posture in this time, that you could allocate those percentages to your bond ETF. Okay, back to the questions. Steve, we would love to see this real-time import data. Absolutely, I want that too. Hi, Angela. I've been trying to buy CoPower, but it's either sold out or unavailable. And because I already have sold share Kindred, my portfolio is rebalanced. Any suggestions for an alternative community bond? So I would suggest let's just wait a little bit on this. So CoPower is sold out now. I just got the notice from them. I think like someone got an email when I did my video on Friday that like they sold out $5 million, which is great. I just don't know when it's going to be available. What I would say is for now, Angela, what I would do is take those percentages or take that money and just put it in your bond ETF. That's going to be the easiest way to basically like allocate that money for now. There are some other community bonds available. There's things like Sketch, Community Bond, and Solar Share. It does have an offering now. That said, I'm hearing rumors that, things are just a little uncertain right now. So that's why I would suggest let's just hold off. Let me do a little bit more research just to make sure that everything is available kind of as planned. CSI I think is doing one, but again, like CSI just shut down, so I don't know what's the impact that might have on their bond campaign. So I would say just put it in your bond ETF for the time being, and then we can reevaluate a little bit later. Chantal, I've been thinking of overriding my rebalancing tool and making a few guesses based on current changes, but that is rejigging and not rebalancing. Yeah. Are you thinking of a webinar on that? Ooh. So yes, that is sort of rejigging your portfolio. I love these technical terms that we're doing. And that really what we want there is you are making a bet there. And know that if you do want to rejig things, that's fine. It's your money. You're in control. Really what we do want to make sure is that we're keeping our stock allocation and our bond allocation kind of where we want them to be, okay? That really it's about, whatever mix we had determined between stocks versus bonds, that's really going to be the big risk decision there. And then from there, between the different stocks, I'm less worried about rejigging. And between the different bond options. So like Angela, for you, instead of doing the impact bond to do a bond ETF, I'm sort of more comfortable with that. So I'd be really cautious rejigging sort of between stocks and bonds, that's where we really are making a decision about taking a more aggressive posture or a more conservative posture. But if you do want to rejig a little bit between them, I am comfortable with that. Just please, please, please don't go overboard. Like really, we want to do it, 0.5%, a couple of percent here and there. Don't make any major changes. And if you did want to make major changes, I would say let's have a meeting and let's talk about it a little bit. Neil, we can see the chat on our own screen. No need to zoom in. Okay, good to know. I have no idea what this looks like from your perspective. I'm kind of flying here. Okay, Wes, I just got the letter days ago, and on Questrade it's still there, no cash yet, but I'm guessing you can't liquidate it, so we are gonna have to hold tight on that. If it gets a little ridiculous and you're like, hey, WTF, know that you can be a squeaky wheel when it comes to Questrade. So with your broker, they're the ones that are kind of dragging their feet in terms of that liquidation process. So if you did want to bug them, if you're going to bug anyone, don't bug me, and don't bug Janus Henderson or whatever the ETF provider is. Really, you want to bother Questrade and kind of get on their customer service if there's anyone you want to yell at. From there, Christian Hansen, yeah, I mean, as an individual company, that was 20% of the organic food ETF. So I'd want to look at the company. I'd want to see what they're up to. Angela, example of a bond ETF, government bond. Okay, great. From there, what we're going to do is, so the one that I have is CLG, which is the 1 to 10 year laddered government bond index ETF. What a lot of clients own is going to be ZGB, which is the BMO government bond ETF. You also, some clients do own what is it? I think the BMO provincial bond ETFs. So it's going to be a combination of ZMP, which is the BMO medium term bond ETF, and ZLP or ZPL, I think is the long term. So my guess is that it's going to be one of those. It also might be something like XSAB, which is a socially responsible bond ETF. Or it might even just be XBB, which is just the non-socially responsible version, if we didn't have a sustainable portfolio. So it's going to be something like that. You should be able to see it if you look at your rebalancing tool. It's going to be, I usually, in the updated ones, I have a column here that's sector, and it'll probably be government bonds. I usually have it at the top of the list. Hopefully you can find your government bond ETF, and I would have it in my notes if you're unable to find it. I just won't do that on the live stream. Okay, any last questions here? Andrea, just got my Questrade letter of direction from CoPower. Email says that I have a pending investment. So this is something we would have to talk about. I would say letter of direction for CoPower. Yeah, so if it's pending, so if they gave you a form to fill out, I would say fill it. I would say, with CoPower, if you're able to squeak in before it sells out, which this tells me that you would be able to, I would suggest, sort of get it while you can. And if you do need help, I would say just send me a text. This is a very specialized question, so I can always just help you out directly. Okay, deep breaths. I need to remind myself, deep breath. Self-care, everyone. That's kind of gotta be the name of the game right now. Gonna look after ourselves. Gonna take the dog out for a big walk after this. Okay, so in terms of rebalancing and actually doing trades. Now you'll notice here that, I've got 336. It is telling me to sell certain things. Remember that on Questrade there is a $5 fee to sell. So often what I'll do is I'll set a threshold where I'm just only gonna sell things that, for example, normally I would set it above about 500. For the purpose of this video, because I do want to walk you through the mechanics and how to do it, and we want to do it together, I'm going to lower my threshold. I'm only going to do things that are more than $300. So in terms of selling, anything more than $300, I am going to sell those things. So I can see this, and I'm going to sell this. These are my sales. Oh, and this guy as well. So I'm just highlighting them just as a little note to myself to be these are the things that I'm going to sell right now. So what I'm going to do when it comes to making a sale is first I need the ticker symbol. So it's telling me Brookfield. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my TFSA. I'm still on the trading platform. In my positions, I'm just going to click on Brookfield. I could enter in the ticker symbol manually, but I like going to my positions, clicking on it, clicking buy sell. That's going to autofill it. From there, you'll notice that, again, these bid-ask spreads are a little bit wide, right? So I can see the bid is at 51.27, the ask is at 51.46. And they just both bumped up as I was speaking. Things are going to move around a lot today. So the bid just jumped up to 51.40. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm selling this, right, normally when I'm buying it, I use the ask price, which is the highball. But since I'm selling it, I'm going to use the bid price. It's jumping around quite a bit. You can see it's at 51.36 on my screen, so I'm just going to roll with that. So it's asking me to, in this case, the number of shares. Now, normally I would round down, but since I'm selling it, I'm actually going to round up. So I'm going to set my quantity to 9 shares. I'm going to do a limit order, right? And that what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the limit price at the bid price and then minus a couple of pennies. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to try to do it. The bid price on my screen just jumped down to 51.23, but I'm going to try to go by the spreadsheet. I'm going to do 36, but then bump it down. And you know what? In this case, I'm going to bump it down by about 6 pennies. So I'm going to set a limit price at $51.30. So what I'm doing here is saying that the lowest I'm willing to accept for my 9 shares is $51.30 per share. Duration is day, account is TFSA. I'm going to click on the sell button. From there, what we're going to do now is verify the order. 9 shares at $51.30 is going to give me $461.70. You can see based on the investment column, I'm aiming for $450. So again, because I rounded up, it's a little bit higher, great. But there is a $5 commission. This is why I don't like selling things. And this is why I would suggest, for a lot of people, if it's less than like $500, or some people set the threshold at like $1,000, it's like not really worth selling. That said, I want to do the exercise, so I'm going to do it. So 9 shares, this looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and send the order. I'm curious if it's going to fill. I don't have the little pop-up yet. So because I don't have the little pop-up yet saying order filled, that tells me that I probably set the price too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my orders, and I'm going to click on my order, and I'm going to modify my trade. And what I'm going to do is, and I can see the bid, it just jumped down now, in 51.20. So that means that, right now it looks like the price of Brookfield is on its way down, 51.14. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to go 51 and I'm going to say 10. I'm going to lower my limit price to $51.10. I'm going to click the sell button before it goes too far. And it still hasn't been accepted. So it looks like it's still going down. And this is a little bit of a tricky thing. This is why, trading on more volatile days is a little bit harder. Questrade, just so you know the way it works, and all these online brokers, typically the prices are about 15 minutes behind, which means that, it's not exactly there. So I could just leave this limit order and do all the other things and then, see if maybe it jumps back up. Or I could play the game of constantly lowering my limit price until it does go through. I'm going to do the rest of my sell orders, and then I'm going to come back to see whether this one has filled. Let me just check quickly to see whether there are any questions. Any major difference between CLG and ZGB? Not really. One's shorter term versus, ZGB is a mix of shorter, medium, long term. I don't want to get into specific bond ETFs and discussing those. I do have sort of write-ups on the model portfolios on sustainableeconomist.com. Really, the difference between these two is the duration. So you can, I don't want to guess between short-term, medium-term, long-term, which is why I would probably suggest ZGB is the more diversified option, whereas CLG is this latter, which is a little bit tricky. Is there a fee to buy on Questrade? Not ETFs. It's free to buy ETFs on Questrade, which we love. Individual companies, it will be a $5 commission to buy individual companies. Yeah, Wes, that's right. You can't see what you're doing on Questrade. I don't know how to hide my account numbers, so I can't really doing that there. Wesley, I think he's doing that on purpose so that thank you. That's absolutely right. Steve, do I consider gains or losses when preparing to sell or buy the rebalance process? So, I mean, kind of, yeah. Really, it would only matter to me in a taxable account. So if you are trading in a margin account, then that's where I'm going to be super aware of the unrealized gains or losses, because those are going to be a taxable event. But in my case, I don't really look at, how something's performing. For me, it's about, do I like the company itself? And, what percentage of my money do I want to have in that company? And know that, for me, I tend to get greedy and buy the things that are down more. I like buying the things that are down more. So, in the case of 3M with me, it's not so much that, it's down, so I wanted to lower my exposure there. It's more that just like, I don't like owning as much of individual companies. So, that's why I'm kind of making the decision to lower that. Okay, so let's go back here. Let me do my other sales, and then we're probably going to have to modify some orders. So the next one I'm doing is Boralex, BLX. So I want to sell about 337 there. So again, I'm going to go to my positions. I'm going to click on BLX and buy sell. From there, I've got a bid price here at 24.35, 24.35. I can see here it's asking me to do 15. I'm going to round down here. If it's, more than like 0.3 or whatever, I'd probably round up. But in this case, I'm sort of happy rounding down to like 15 shares. Limit order, I'm going to set my a limit price at 24.30. So it just bumped down, the bid price bumped down to 24.32. So I'm going to do 24.32 minus a couple pennies. Duration day, account TFSA, I'm going to click on sell. I'm going to verify $364, which is close to what I'm trying to sell here. There is that $5 commission. I'm going to go ahead and send it. Let's see if this one goes through. Maybe. Doesn't look like it. I'm probably going to have to bump down my limit orders a little bit more. From there, my shares of TD, because I did lower my exposure there. Again, TD's a bank. They've got a lot of fossil fuel assets. So for me, I'm a little bit concerned from the time I made this decision a while ago when they kind of had the lowest exposure to fossil fuels. They've got quite a bit now, which is why I'm bumping it down from 5 to 3. As such, it wants me to sell $700 worth. So I'm going to look up TD. I'm going to do buy sell. Right now, the bid price is 54.49, and it's jumping around. So it's telling me to sell 13 shares. Normally I would round up, but it's so low, the decimal, I'll do 13. The lesson that I'm learning here is that, really what I want to do is lower my limit orders, probably by more. Whereas normally I would do it by a couple pennies, I probably want to do it by 5 pennies or more. So I'm going to set my limit price at $54.44, and I'm going to sell my securities. It's telling me $707, which is very close to what I'm aiming for, so I'm going to go ahead and send that order. Is TD going to go through? No, it hasn't gone through, so I'm probably going to have to modify that one as well. The last one I'm going to do here is XLK. So this is tech. Tech has just done so well over the last little bit that, I'm not shocked that it wants me to sell some of it. So for this one, I'm going to have to move over to my RSP. From there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be selling shares of XLK, buy, sell. Right now, the order price, the bid price is 73.66. Again, I'm putting it in the US column. It's going to do the math for me. It's telling me to sell 3 shares. That's fine. I don't care how many shares I'm selling. What I care about is the value of those shares. Now, bid price is jumping around a little bit. So again, I'm going to take the bid price. I'm going to knock about 10 cents off of it this time. So, and you'll just notice, so the bid right now is a little bit lower, down to 57. You can see I'm still selling 3 shares. So it doesn't really matter when it's jumping around, but it is just this limit price. I'm setting my limit price. I'm going to do about 10 cents lower. So I'm going to set my limit price at $73.47, and I'm going to click on sell. The $5 commission, it's going to give me $220 USD. This is in Canadian. So that looks right to me. I can sort of eyeball that. I'm going to send the order. Did that one go through? No. And this is why it is so annoying to trade on days that are super, super volatile. Okay, so basically none of my limit orders went through, which means that, basically I'm just not I'm not putting the price low enough. And I think what's happening is I'm kind of getting screwed over by this 15-minute delay. You can pay more money to get up to the second quote, but I do have a little workaround for this, which is Yahoo Finance. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to look things up on Yahoo Finance, compare the price that they're telling me to the price that the Questrade is telling me. So what I'm going to do is let me start with BEP. Let's see if we can get more accurate prices. The .to is the Canadian version. So what they're telling me here is $51.26. Now it's interesting, again, this 15-minute delay, I think is pretty common across the board. But let me just see. I had done my limit order at 51.10. So this isn't giving me more information. But let me go ahead and modify my order. I'm going to call it $51 flat. Sell. Send order. And let's see if anyone will buy my shares of Brookfield right now. And they're just not buying it. Didn't go through. Okay, I'm just going to play the game. I'm going to try. I'm just going to keep modifying the order, and I'm going to bump it lower. Now, I wouldn't suggest doing this because what I'm doing now here, but I'm just kind of curious. I want to do this is I want to see how far down I have to knock down Brookfield and almost do this as an experiment. So from $51, I'm going to go 50.90. So I'm going to do this in 10-cent increments. So I'm doing a limit order for 9 shares at $50.90. I'm going to send the order. Is that going to go through? Nobody wants to buy my shares of Brookfield right now. Okay, I'm just going to keep going lower. Now, I'm hoping that I'm not getting dinged for $5 commission every time I do this. I don't think that I would be. But let me do 80 cents. And that's still not going through. Okay, I'm just going to hold off for a moment. This is curious to me. Let me just check in with the live chat. Let me see how everyone's doing here as I struggle in real time. Okay. Can I stream all the time? I can try. I want to make it a more regular occurrence. I thought you could get around the delay by clicking on Questrade's real-time quote link. Ooh, where's that? Jeff, where's that link? Do you know? Do you know where it is? I just screenshot your face. Oh, great. Yeah, perfect. Turn me into a meme, Neil. Thank you, brother. I love that. Okay, so where's the real-time quote? Let's see here. bep.un.to. And is there a button that says real-time quote? When I'm in the position details, thank you. And then if I click on it, quote, full feature chart, it still has the 15-minute delay for me. And then you can click to refresh. Oh, and then it's 1 second. Oh, that's such a cool feature. Oh, and I can even do it on the, oh, Jeff, you are my savior in this time. Okay, so basically, and actually I can do it in the order entry box. So you don't have to do it on the screen where it's the positions. It looks like you can click the refresh button. There's a little like refresh button in the top hand corner. Okay, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. And cool that you don't have to pay for this. Way to go, Questrade. I thought you did. So, okay, so basically where we're at is this is why my orders for Brookfield haven't been going through. Because of that 15-minute delay, I can now verify that the stock market has gone down. So, Neil, you are right. You can just watch my reaction as things fall in real time. This will be my new live stream channel. Is that, the bid price right now is at $50.47. So it's no wonder that none of my orders were going through. So what we're going to do now is modify all the orders. Let's get them with real-time quotes. That's such a cool trick. I didn't know that existed. So what I'm going to do is modify my order for Brookfield. I'm now going to get the up to the moment quote, which has it at $50.30. So of course my 50.80, no one was going to buy that. So let's do it at 28 and see if I can sneak through before it keeps going down. So let's see if that goes through. No, I think it's just going to keep collapsing. Are things like falling in real time right now? I'm curious. Down 7%. Yeah, so things are kind of falling in real time at this moment. Wow, look at this. So yeah, it didn't go through. So I'm going to have to still do a bigger gap. Let me get back to this. Okay, so Brookfield, modify. Yeah, down to, no, it looks like it kind of had popped back up. Let me just give it a moment here. I'm going to knock it down by another dime. Again, I just want to see, essentially how low do I need to go? And I mean, I'll be frank that like if I'm having this much of a pain trying to get these limit order to fills at this moment in time, I do feel like this is a good excuse to just like don't do anything right now. I'm a little bit frustrated that things are that it's basically that it's so hard right now. But this is, I can see here Brookfield and like things are pretty much falling in real time. I can see it down 50.27. Wow, what a time. What a time right now. Brookfield is down 11 cents today. And I'm almost wondering, like, do I now need to like update my market values? Give me a moment here. So I'm going to look at my positions. I'm going to look at my, I'll do, Brookfield just as the example. So 192, right now it's down to 1935. Just like that, in the time that it took me to be able to write this. Wow. Okay. Let me see here. The thing is that I'm seeing it jump around and it has come up above where my limit price was. And so I'm surprised that the order didn't go through. That normally the system would accept the order as it bounces back up. Part of it is I'm wondering if there's somehow like a queue here that the orders aren't fully going through automatically. Let me try something that's a little bit more liquid. The thing that I've been trying to sell that is probably the most liquid is shares of TD stock. So what I want to do here is modify my order for TD. I had originally put in a limit order at $54.44. And as I refresh it, the bid is right now at $53.75. So I'm going to bump this down $53.75 for TD. 53.75. So now it's telling me 13 shares. So it's still the same number of shares. Hasn't impacted everything. The big thing is just going to be the limit price. Right now it's $53.75. I'm going to make my limit price. I'm going to go down by 20 cents and do $53.55. And let me see if I can get these shares to sell. Accepted but not filled. I'm struggling right now. I hope you all are entertained by this. Let me just check in on the live stream. Okay. Pretty sure sell orders can be modified without getting dinged. I think that's right. Tim, don't bankrupt yourself just to teach us something we can't see on the screen. I get it. Could I do another session in a few weeks when things aren't so volatile in real time? Yeah, absolutely I can do that, Tanya. No problem. Maybe that is my lesson for today. Is just like, don't do anything and let's wait a little bit. Am I avoiding market orders because of the volatility? Yeah, absolutely, that's what I'm doing. I mean, I could do a market order almost like as an experiment to be able to see, you know, I'm not trading a huge number of shares, so I could do the market order, but I just feel that it's a little bit tricky doing the market order, just because then I'm essentially writing a blank check. Tesla went from 388 to 370. Yeah, great. I mean, TD is falling as well. But it's interesting, you know, I'm seeing that the bid and the ask for TD right now, $54 flat. My limit order was at $53.55. But it's just jumping around so much. And I'm just wondering if, okay, let me try. What I'll do, I'm not going to bankrupt myself. You know, Chantal, could there be other reason the sales aren't going through? I'm thinking the same thing. You know, something on Questrade's platform. That said, you know, I'd be surprised. What I think I want to do, so rather than selling anything, I'm going to hold off on selling things. I'm just not going to sell anything right now. I think I'm just going to bite the dust, and I think I'm just going to cancel all of my orders. And I'm just going to go through, yes, I want to cancel, yes, I want to cancel. And I'm just going to cancel them because I don't want them like hanging around and for them to go through later and then me to not allocate that cash right away. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try just simply buying with the amount of cash that I do have. So in my TFSA right now, I've got, how much cash do I have? I've got $187 in cash, and it's all in Canadian. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to buy shares of my, here, let me go back to this. I'm going to buy shares of my bond ETF, CLG.TO, perfect. And then what I'm going to do is, let me try doing a market order here, and let's just see how I can do it. Now the trick is estimating, you know, how many shares I want to buy. So I'm going to get out my trusty calculator. I've got $187. Right now it's trading at the ask price, the high ball is 18.75. So it wants me to buy 10, although I don't have quite enough to buy 10 shares. So I'm going to round down. In this case, I'm going to buy 9 shares. Because these limit orders have been such a pain, I'm going to do a market order in my TFSA. So 9 shares at $18.75 is roughly $168. That'll leave me with about $8 in my account. So I'm going to try to push through a market order. And now this is interesting, because a market order has not gone through. Oh yeah, hold on. Did it? No, it has not gone through. It's been accepted but hasn't filled. Did we hit a circuit breaker? Why not buy underweight assets if I'm investing for the long term? Yeah, okay, so trading halted in the US. I think that would explain what's going on. So there are these things called circuit breakers. And, you know, as I've been talking, as I showed you, markets went down quite a bit. And you can see here at down 7%. My understanding is that once it hits 3%. So this is, I'm just getting a notice through Questrade right now, due to an S&P 500 market circuit breaker being hit, Trading will pause on all exchanges for 15 minutes. Okay, so this is what's going on right now, is that we hit a circuit breaker. Brandon, to answer your question, I had done it later. I decided to take a slightly more defensive position and bumped up my bond allocation by a few percentage, just by like 4%. So for me, it's there. So that's why. That's why I made the decision there. So basically, we're on pause for like 15 minutes. What I would say from watching this is the benefits from today are, number one, hopefully you did get a sense of how to fill out the rebalancing tool. Number two, hopefully this is a lesson on why we shouldn't trade during volatile times unless we have to. Number three, we're learning about circuit breakers and how if the markets fall more than 7% at a given time, the entire market will halt for 15 minutes. I feel like this is going to be an embarrassing video for me to put up on YouTube, just because I came here to rebalance and I wasn't able to get anything done. That said, hopefully this is a bit of a lesson. Okay, there's really nothing more I can do, at least for the next 15 minutes. How's everybody feeling in the chat window right now? I'm feeling like this might have been more stress-inducing than calming, which I apologize for, because I was hoping that this would be a nice, calm rebalancing session, and obviously that's not the case. Any questions? Any comments? It was helpful. At least it was helpful to reassure that you don't need to do anything now. Great. Don't need to do anything right now. Hitting a circuit breaker on live chat. What is the chance? What are the odds? This was the best video ever. I'm so glad I'm providing you with entertainment. Thanks for staying positive, helping people to understand what is happening. We love you. I love you too. Okay, great. It is helpful. I put out 3 sales orders last week, each at a somewhat optimistic price. By the end of the day, 1 of 3 orders had been filled. Yeah. A great learning lesson. Now we know what can happen and how to react. Great. Okay, so this wasn't a complete failure. You can sign up for Model Portfolio and Questrade, which may allow viewers to see your account in real. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Okay, let me talk to Questrade and see if they're down for that. I think that would be good. But even that one sale took a couple hours to go through. Wow. Deciding whether to sit on it or buy and sell, but looks like it was decided for us. Can I share with us the latest version of the rebalancing tool? Maybe with the Steve Higgs data import. Oh, Ron, you're getting a little greedy here. Let me see what I can do. The latest version, I think I did put up like a template on YouTube or on my Google Drive, so I can send you a link to that. Good engagement. Love to see that meme created of you, Neil. If you can spread that around, great. Let's turn me into a meme right now. Chantal, it's not embarrassing. Super helpful to know. Also historic. Yeah. Kind of definitely. It's definitely terrifying to watch, but someone just pulled a parachute. Yeah, I mean, so, and again, this is kind of the tricky position right now, you know, and really what I want to reinforce with people is that the worst thing you can do is like kind of try to pull out everything all at once. That I do not suggest doing that at all. That obviously what we're seeing is kind of markets in a really tricky time right now. So I think what I'll do is, why don't I stop the video here? It will live on YouTube for at least a little bit, and you know, I can send out the link if that's helpful, although I don't know how useful it's going to be for people. I am going to go through with another live chat on Thursday, so I guess that's tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. So if you did want to talk about some of the bigger picture questions, or if you did have some questions, concerns, you know, what's going on, bigger things there, markets are going to be closed then, so no chance of circuit breakers on live stream. But I am going to be, you know, 7 p.m. Toronto time. I'll do another like open window where we can just go through this chat and kind of see where we're at. Really open to feedback, so if there are things I can do to make it better. I don't know if having it, you know, with this screen, if this is a little bit you know, difficult for you, I can always, you know, keep my spreadsheet open or things like that the rest of the time. But I just love being able to see the chat. But yeah, Thank you so much for your attention. If you do have questions or concerns or things specifically about your situation, then what I want you to do is just send me an email or even a text if it's urgent. And, yeah, I'm glad you could sort of see my failures rather than doing it yourself. That's a great point. But really, let's, I will make a point of keep these things up. So I think it's going to be the open window sessions are probably in the evening. I think I'm going to make those weekly on Thursday evenings. And then, maybe I can do a rebalancing, another rebalancing live chat in a couple weeks. Hopefully things are going to settle down. From there, okay, great. I'm so helpful. I'll post, let me see if I can, I don't know if I can post the link in real time, but Neil, what I can do is I can email you the updated rebalancing tool. It's just an empty one, and then you can go through and fill it out yourself. But I'll send that to you right now, and we can just kind of go from there. Deep breath. I'm going to get outside, take the dog for a little walk. Hope everyone is good. Let me know if you need help. Let me know if you need support. Know that I'm here for you. And I'll see you soon.